This changes the entire situation for the Vancouver Canucks as we get a major report revealing key details on the Canucks, including where they currently stand with free agent Jack Roslovic, what they plan on doing with two key players, and exactly how the Canucks plan on getting a second line center heading into next season. We have so much to break down in this episode, and you're not going to miss it. Before we get into that, if you're part of the 59.6% watching this and you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, we're trying to reach our goal of 9,000 subscribers. Hitting that subscribe button helps a bunch, and in return, we'll give you daily updates from all around the Canucks. But with that, let's just hop straight into that, where we did get a lot of reports coming out from Thomas Drance today. This full article will be down in the description. Go read through it because it covers a lot to do with this team. But what we do see coming from Drance, hearing the Canucks have cooled off on pursuing late summer UFA Jack Roslovic. Club wants a full-time center upgrade and doesn't see that player available in the UFA bargain bin. It's going to take a trade. Now, looking at the available free agents, I do agree with this. Listen, Jack Roslovic would be a cool addition to this team. Someone that could come in and add 20-goal experience to the Canucks. But when looking at key centers already on the lineup in Filip Hronek, Aatu, Teddy Blueger, going out to spend $4 million or getting into a bidding war with other teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs does not make sense for the Canucks, who are a little strapped for cash. Now, we have two more huge reports to cover on with the Canucks coming from Drance, but before we get into that, looking at the center position in the free agency market, a bargain bin is the best way to describe it. Jack Roslovic being the top point getter in the free agency market right now at center, 39 points. You can see a couple other options. Tyler Mott, who is more of a winger, but can play a tiny bit of center. You can work your way through. There's not a lot of options that come in and immediately make this Canucks team better. As I said, Jack Roslovic is an interesting name, and if you could get him on a 1-year, $1 million deal, sure, go out to spend it, but I don't think bringing him in and having to move out a player that you already have makes sense for the Canucks going into next year. So that, with the report, seems like Jack Roslovic is out of the picture for the Canucks. Now, going straight into the second report here, where things start to get major with these details, is we do see from Thomas Drance. Once again, go check out this full article. The club is actively kicking tires and exploring its options. Vancouver would execute a trade today if the deal returned a credible middle six center, even if that center had more of a defensive bent to their game. Now, with Roslovic out of the picture, if you were bringing him in, if they circle back at some point, you are bringing back a pure offensive guy with no defensive quality to his game, but with the Canucks looking at all options, including more of a two-way or pure defensive guy, it gets very interesting. Now listen, Elias Pettersson is a very good defensive player. Yes, a very big down year. A lot of people hate on me hyping him up, but if and when he returns to suit, having someone that can also put up points on that second line would be a big add. Now listen, Filip Hronek is going to be the perfect play driver on a second line, and we will touch on that second report very soon. But with the Canucks going out to look at every option possible, it's going to get very interesting. Now with the Canucks, we know Elias Pettersson, when he has his bounce back, a 100-point player, a top 10 center in the NHL. Filip Hronek, a big question mark, but could have a very good year. Aatu, Teddy Blueger at the center position. You need to bring someone in that's going to upgrade on at least one of these three guys. Teddy Blueger, the perfect bottom six guy. Aatu, a breakout primed candidate. And with Filip Hronek, if he can get healthy, if he can stay healthy in the season and continue to produce, it's going to be interesting how much management really goes out to focus on getting that second line center, or if they want to move Filip Hronek into more of a winger role as he continues his career with the Canucks. I mean, with the Canucks still having a $4.3 million contract in year 3 of 4, they do have him for 2 more seasons, including the one coming up. So figuring out that whole saga is going to be quite fun. Now with the Canucks, if they want to go out and get a center, they do have a couple pieces. Yes, you need to clear up some room to move in a center if they're making more than someone like Filip Hronek or more than the $3.2 million. They would have to move out a roster player and possibly and potentially multiple picks, where we do see the Canucks having first round selections over the next 4 drafts. They're missing 1 second in 2027, 1/3 next season, but a lot of 4th round picks, which they can go out and use in trades. One of the 4th from Dakota Joshua, one of them coming back in the trade for Shilovs. Patrik Allvin can attach multiple fourth and mid to high end picks in a trade to get this center. So if they are hellbent on getting a player, a center, to take an upgrade on that second line center position, even if he's a more of a defensive game, it's going to get interesting how the Canucks navigate and what is it going to take. I mean, they have a prospect pool. It's not the deepest in the NHL. They don't have the top end talent, like I've spoke on, like Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, but they do have a lot of options that can entice teams to move out on players. On the right wing, Jonathan Lekermack, their top winger prospect. Down the middle, Coots coming in as the best center prospect. And a lot, and I mean quite a few, defensive prospects that you can throw in a trade. Listen, Tom Willender's probably a no-no when it comes to Canucks management to move on from. But you have Victor Mancini, Jet Wu, even Sawyer Minio. There's a lot of guys within the system that teams are going to end up looking at and saying, hey, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for, but you need to make it a little more enticing, and that's where picks and maybe even a roster player comes in to clear up that additional cap space to bring in a player. Now listen, the center position has been the big story around this team. We know they need to do something. Roslovic was the top option, and all signs are pointing to him being gone. With these major details coming out, we get one more report from Thomas Drance, and this says hockey operation leadership is comfortable betting on the centers they have, especially Filip Hronek and Aatu going into next season. Now with this Canucks team, we know they do a lot of their trades in training camp or just to start the year. They don't like doing a lot of moves in the offseason, though we've seen Dakota Joshua and Sheilov, so maybe they're turning a new leaf, no pun intended, on the Joshua. But this is a team that's going to continue looking, and if they're comfortable down the middle with Pettersson, with Chytil, and Raty, it's going to get interesting if they're going to look at maybe moving on from Teddy Blueger as the fourth line option. If you move Blueger along with a pick and a prospect, bring in the second center, Chytil moves to the wing, maybe Drew O'Connor, Linus Karlsson, or Max Sasson takes over the fourth line center position. It's going to get interesting how they do this. Now listen, Filip Hronek, we've spoke on him quite a bit. An intriguing player, still 25 years old, putting up 6 points in 15 games, a -11, but the Canucks stunk last season. He's had some seasons where he's looked like a middle six center. 45 points in 74 games with the New York Rangers, putting up 22 points. We've seen an almost point per game the season before in the playoffs. 9 points in 20 games. Filip Hronek is on a contract paying him what a second or third line center. And listen, the OEL buyout is a big reason the Canucks could not go out in free agency and spend $8 million on a player. But the big thing is, with Filip Hronek, all signs are pointing to, and if healthy, he will have a bounce back. Now, the most intriguing name on the listed players that were named that management is comfortable and fine with going in with, and that is Aatu. No surprise to any fan, as I've been hyping this kid up all off season. But listen, Aatu, 11 points in 33 games. But that doesn't tell the whole story on how good this kid can be. Going into his ice time, we know, only playing 10 minutes and 39 seconds. If this increases, you're going to increase his point production. You put him on the third line, you move him up in the lineup. Playing with higher talent, he's going to produce. Face-off percentage, 57.7 in 4 seasons, and not full seasons, but 4 seasons in the NHL. 57% on the face-off average over those years. Hits is a big part of his game, a physical body, putting up 80 hits in 33 games. Aatu is poised for a breakout. So is Filip Hronek. If both of these players hit for the Canucks, there's a world where they don't need to do a trade. Now, would I still like them to go out and get someone like Pavel Zacha? Sure, that would be awesome. But with the Canucks, where they currently stand, things are getting interesting with these major details coming out. That the Canucks are out on Jack Roslovic, that they don't mind going out as soon as I can find it to find a center, even if he's defensive, all the way to they're comfortable on leaning on Filip Hronek and Aatu as the center. Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on all these reports? Are you comfortable going into next season with Filip Hronek and Raty as the two centers in the middle six? Do you think two of them can have breakout campaigns for the Canucks and help lead them into the playoffs? How many points do you think Raty can put up next year? Because I would not be surprised if it's 35 to 40. And what is your thoughts on the Canucks not wanting to bargain bin hunt? They're out on Roslovic. They're out on the centers. They're going to do, and it's going to take a trade for this team to upgrade at the center position? Does this feel like a sign of relief that management is not kind of just looking and saying, hey, we'll take whatever we can get, and they're looking at this and saying, hey, we want the best available player. If that's coming to trade, it's going to happen. Let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, and take care, Canucks fans.